you so much for joining me on my channel, A Very Good Life. Today we're going to be discussing Pluto in the ninth house, um, which would be Pluto in conjunction with Jupiter in any type of way, or it could be um, you can have Jupiter in Scorpio, or um, any of the assorted combinations of Pluto and Sagittarius. All right, I did some research on Pluto and Jupiter conjunction before I did this video, and I usually don't do that. And I did that because Jupiter is such a big planet. This is not just an aspect that affects an individual. These are conjunct because right now we're going through Pluto conjunction, Pluto and Jupiter conjunction transit. That's going to last throughout the rest of the year. And what I've learned by researching Pluto in conjunction with Jupiter is that a lot of wars have began with Pluto in conjunction with Jupiter. Like began, like on the date of the conjunction. Um, there's a lot of like deaths of people who are like serial killers or something like that. Like Jeffrey Dahmer died on a Pluto Jupiter conjunction. So I find all that interesting. It's like karmic events or events that are so big that it changes history. It changes our lives. It changes our perspective. It changes our point of views forever. What's up? How you doing, Nicole? Um, this is a really big placement for a person. Like when it comes to your higher mind and how you view God, and maybe some of the things that have happened in your life, it might make you even question God. It might even make you question if there is a God. Like I look at those events and like wars and stuff that have happened during Pluto Jupiter conjunctions, and I see events that make you thank God, you know, or ask God why, or ask God, like, why me? Or why is this happening to everyone? Or make you feel like you need to save the world, or like you need to, um, help the masses in some way. Or makes you feel like you need to be a part of the change in the world, or make you just like hate humanity altogether and be like, you know what, forget about human beings. Humans aren't shit. There is no God. um, I also can see that maybe with this placement, um, there could be some type. I tried to look up connections to like cults, or maybe even sex cults, or people who use their wild sexual energy in a way to manipulate people, and people who have gone through those types of experience would question if there is a God. Why do you allow these things to happen? you know I also think about the stories in the Bible, because ninth house is about religion, it's about culture, it's about things that are foreign, and traveling to either distant lands, or it can be you traveling in general. So it's like a traveling into the underworld. And certain events and and situations assist us with traveling into the underworld, like unexpectedly, in like weird ways. You don't These aren't things that you choose to have happen to you in your life or to other people. Like, we don't want war, and we don't want people around us who are murderers or serial killers and stuff like that. But for some reason, these events oftentimes bring us closer to God and make us think about God, and make us um, learn how to transmute energy if we don't want to repeat these same patterns. It makes um, people transform and transmute. That's what Pluto is all about. And the psychological trauma that happens with this placement is really deep. It, it's identity changing, it's world changing. And so, mm, yeah. And so Jupiter has to do with your childhood development as well. Jupiter returns back into its original spot in your natal chart by the time you're 12 years old. So when you were 12 years old, which is a time of puberty for a lot of people, your Jupiter had returned back to its original spot. And that's a really awkward time for people. That's when you meet with a lot of your, or integrate with new aspects of yourself to expand out into the world, right? And so if you have Jupiter here, I would imagine that when you were 12, or every time your Jupiter returns, that you go through something catastrophic in your life that makes that process even worse. That makes the process scary. Um, that makes you, um, you're an energy booster. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I know that. It's a really interesting thing. What's up, Karma? I love that. Is that your real name? Not that it matters. But I love Karma. Isn't that reminds me of that Alicia Keys song. I love that song. What goes around comes around. Um yeah. And so how you learn, if you have this aspect, what you go through as you're learning, changes not only your life but everybody's life around you. And maybe you might have a reputation of being a shit starter, or maybe you're an outcast when it in society in some way, because of the things that you have to say, because of the things you've seen, the things you've gone through, and the things you've heard. you know and it's not your fault. It's Pluto's fault. It's Pluto's fault. Pluto is in our chart. It's where we have a lot of drama, you know. And so, like I was saying before, it was very interesting for me to research a lot of wars beginning during Jupiter and Pluto conjunctions. So I can only imagine what that feels like in a personal life of a person. Do you have this placement, Karma? I also was thinking about like some you growing up in like a religious as a religious fanatic. Maybe your grandmother, Venus Pluto conjunction with Saturn Jupiter conjunction in the ninth house in Libra. Ooh, woo, whoa! I would love to read your chart, but wow, yeah, I can imagine like somebody growing up as a religious zealot as a kid, and then realizing that maybe you were misled, or maybe you want to find your own identity, and it really like shaking up things in your family, or you asking questions in the institution that you were brought up in, and it really ruffling the feathers of the people who are in a established position, because Pluto here will make you want to tear down anything that's corrupt. You don't you Pluto energy wants to get to the bottom of things and wants to get to the truth, you know. And so anytime you have those aspects when it comes to the higher mind and institutions and religions, you can be like maybe a Jesus type of archetype, to where you're like standing up for what's right, but you have other people that are dogmatic and they don't want to be questioned. they feel like it's wrong to question things, and like you're being disrespectful. But you really have everybody's and yourselves best um intentions, highest and best good at heart. You know, um, the truth sets people free, but just following a leader blindly enslaves you. And Pluto is also about being enslaved. So there comes a point in your time where you feel like you need to free your mind and you want to think for yourself, and how you have to go about doing that causes a lot of drama. In the karma, if you have a Libra in the ninth house, then you have tried to keep the peace for a long time. But in order for you to have your mind and your own identity and not be codependent when it comes to spirituality, you have to stand up for yourself and the things that you see and what you believe is right. Today, guys, I discovered this ice cream parlor in downtown Cusco, and they had it's like homemade ice cream. I bought like a little half pint. I don't know. It is the same as having Sagittarius in the eighth house. Yes, Robert. Hey, Robert. How are you doing? Deep Catholic roots. It's an open discussion with the children, sexual abuse scandal in church. Oh, I'm not surprised with Pluto in the night. You done seen some things, you done heard some things, and you don't play no games. You don't play no games. I can only imagine. Yeah, it is. It's the same thing as having Sagittarius. I love looking at those different combinations. I love looking at those different combinations. I don't know. I just love it. A lot of times, if you really study, well, I study people's charts all the time. Um, but when I study people's charts and I put all the patterns together, I'll see like the same combinations over and over again in people's charts and see me. So yeah, I love the research. I love to dig in. But I was talking about ice cream. I I discovered this pistachio homemade ice cream. They put like caramel in the middle of the only thing missing was like pistachio nuts. My favorite ice cream is gelato's pistachio. Mm. I sat here and ate that whole thing today. Hello, I'm good at work driving for Uber. Hope you're having a good day. Robert, I hope you're having a good day too. Stay safe out there. So, okay. So the sexual scandal thing when it comes to church and the ninth house when it comes to Pluto. You know, yesterday I was reading the lady's chart, um, and she had eighth house Scorpio with the moon and Uranus. And I asked her if her mother was like a free sex, which did she was she because of course with moon and Scorpio, your mom ain't gonna tell you shit. Your mom don't tell you nothing. She goes to her grave with her secrets, okay? But I still ask just in case. I asked if her mom was like in the free love movement, if they had like, if she had when she was younger, if she had sex with like friends or just weird, like, because Uranus, the moon, eighth house, Scorpio. I was like, ooh. I'm like, what did you see or sense growing up? Like, And she was like, yeah, my mom used to always tell me to loosen up sexually or whatever when I was a kid, and I always thought it was weird. And I'm like, that is weird. And she also told me that her pop, her grandfather, um, like molested siblings or some I don't weird sexual. So anytime you have like Pluto in these houses with where you're dealing with um higher minded energy, You have people, because I consider like Uranus like Aquarius energy. You know, you have like these weird sexual encounters with people who are in authority, you know, and it affects everything. That affects and it infects. Pluto oftentimes is an infection wherever you find it in your chart. And it's your job to clean it up. To clean it up. And as you clean the energies up by becoming aware, being honest, being truthful, being brave, being courageous, standing up for what's right, then you learn a lot about human psychology, how to transmute the energy, what entities are involved, and you just learn so much about life and energies and how what makes things tick, which becomes the reward. It's a really strange. Pluto is a really strange reward system. And so, and with this aspect, I was going to talk about how in the Bible the devil had to get permission from God to cause chaos or to cause inflict pain or to inflict disease. And I always thought, even when I was a kid, I always thought that was a very interesting concept that is really hard to wrap your mind around. You know, um, I still think about that verse where the Israelites, the Egyptians, or whatever, I'm getting my stories mixed up. The Israelites are trying to escape the Egyptians, and the Bible says that God hardened Pharaoh's heart. And as a kid, I would be like, why? Like, God, why would you do that? You know, and the mysteries of how we learn lessons and how energy is alchemized is beyond our comprehension. And Pluto is about surrendering because you're not God. You're not God, and you don't. And even when darkness um, comes upon us, we still have to thank God and learn. You can't be like, well, fuck God. You know, that's just not going to work out for you. You have to ask God, like, what is the lesson in this? Even if it's like awful and horrible, disgraceful, diabolical, incomprehensible. It's a strange world, a strange life, strange karmas. Pluto and Jupiter, awful karma. I mean, the people that start wars, what's their karma like? What is their next lifetime like? What is their karmic retribution for that? Interesting stuff to talk about. With this placement, I have more questions than answers, and I think that's okay. I'm okay with that. I would need people. I need more research with this. I need you people who have these aspects to tell me about your experiences. But you see, with Pluto experiences, they're so deeply personal, sometimes shameful that people don't really like to go there. But see, that's how you transmute the energy. You have to go there. You have to be willing to honestly talk about it like it's normal. It has to become normal to bring darkness into the light, or else it's going to eat you alive. It'll just eat at you for the rest of your life, whatever it is. And in my spiritual counseling, that's what I help people do. I honestly help people get comfortable in their own skin, even when it comes to their darkest aspects of themselves, so that you can function. And you're supposed to integrate those energies into your nervous system, and that's what makes your nervous system strong. That's why I'm so strong. I didn't start off this strong. I was a cry baby when I was young. I was so sensitive. I thought I was gonna die, child. Seriously, like literally, I thought I was gonna die. I didn't think I would make it through everything. It's like I'm gonna die. I'd rather die, you know. Mm. Any questions? Nobody's talking to me right now. Comments. I've only been on for 20 minutes. I've had the weirdest attack by a spirit in my early teens. It wasn't human. It's so taboo. It's unreal. Ooh, talk about it. I wish you can dial in. Attack. Attack. What do you mean by that? You had an attack by a spirit as a how old were you? Did you guys study astrology when you were kids? Like me? You were 14 years old? I also have another question. Um, since you were around Catholicism, were there lots of like rituals going on around you? Were people involved? I don't know what a Catholic ritual looks like, or are there like Catholic brujitas or whatever? I'm sure there are because in all sects of culture, mythology, and religions. Yes, I'm still young. Nicole, how old are you? Um, there's always like high priest and high priestess that are like doing magic and stuff. So what's like Catholic magic like? Oh, I don't know. Oh, you're 17. How long have you been studying astrology? Every Sunday mass is like ritual, but nothing odd performed in the family. Totally normal. Are you sure? Maybe that's something that's hidden from you. Oftentimes it is. I didn't know. Oh, for 6 years. Oh, you've been studying your whole life. Yeah, I started studying astrology when I was like 13, and I'm like 39 now. I love astrology because I'll be learning for the rest of my life, and I love learning. I love learning. I'm always learning. I love working with people in their astrology charts. I love all the case studies. My friends used to make fun of me, and they'd be like, "What are you doing with all those charts? Like, what is she doing? Should we give her our information?" Yeah, in my family, maybe within the past few years, um, they have revealed to me, the ancestors revealed to me all of the stuff that people have done as far as dark magic, and mom thinks the family has a curse. I don't know how it feels. I still don't know how to wrap my mind around curse. I'm still researching. My family, my pop used to work with dark magic and killing animals on the altar, and he put some of the family's names on the altar and all types of crazy stuff. And he regrets it now beyond the grave, you know. And I have had to clean it all up. you know, I've had to clean it up by being you just be a good person, be a great person. And I give I for a long time I gave herbal offerings on my ancestor altar, um, and offering to Mother Nature, and having great intentions. I don't do dark magic. People ask me to, when I'll be like, "Do you know what you're asking me to do? You're basically asking me to curse myself. I'm not going to do that. That's stupid to me." So I really don't understand. Like, I understand why people do hoodoo and voodoo. It's out of fear, and it's a quick way to get quick results. But it's not worth it in the end. It's not. I learned that from my ancestors. But before I learned that from my ancestors, I already had that wisdom. inside of me naturally. Probably from past lives, I have learned my lesson. All right, all of you amazing people. I'll probably see you guys tomorrow. I think I did black magic in my past life because my 12th house is in Scorpio. Um, yeah, I before you make those types of definitely um ancestors, you know, but that does not necessarily mean you, because Scorpio has to do with power, abuse of power. Good job. My experiences was extremely difficult, but it's also ultimately about surrender to the greatest good and faith. That's right. Yeah, letting you let all the ignorance go, basically, and raising in consciousness, growing up. Rising in consciousness is basically maturity. It's about growing up and taking responsibility for your own triggers, which is why I made that podcast trigger happy, because I really feel like that's the most important work that a human being can do, is to take responsibility for your own triggers in your life that makes you a better person, that will make the world a better place. Bow, 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 ow, bow, bow, bow. You know, um, and so we put a lot of stigma around words like enlightenment, spirituality, consciousness. It's honestly about growing the fuck up and being a better person, you know? Oh, uh, mm, thanks so much. I've had some really beautiful, positive, graceful experiences too. That's awesome. Yeah, it does get better when you face yourself. After you face those demons, life gets better. And also, we don't just come in life with karma. We come in life with dharma. You know, the for the positive retribution for the good things you've done in past lives. We don't talk enough about that. Well, kitties, thank you so much for joining me. You can sign up for stuff on my website. I have a tarot group class so that we can like kiki and like learn about the tarot. It's non-linear. I haven't had one class yet. I've had people sign up and our schedules not match up, and then they end up trading it in for another service or something. I have a workbook uploaded called the Love Drunk Workbook for people who struggle with codependency. It's a 5-day workbook working with the angel to assist you in getting back in harmony with yourself. Um, what else? Oh, my podcast, Trigger Happy. You can always tune in and listen and just kind of like remind your subconscious mind to keep going in that direction. I talk a lot about narcissism and things that trip up people who are empaths or healers, or just any thing for the initiate who is on either the middle path or the right path. I don't really work with the left-handed path at all. It's not my thing this lifetime. But I will talk to you guys later. Peace.